Nothing that is wrong in wanting you to stay here with me. I know you've got somewhere to go, but won't you make yourself at home and stay with me? And don't you ever leave. Lay down, Sally, and rest here in my arms. Don't you think you want someone to talk to? Lay down, Sally, so soon. I've been trying all night long just to talk to you. Sun ain't nearly on the rise. We still got the moon and stars above. Underneath the velvet skies, love is all that matters. Won't you stay with me? Don't you ever leave. Lay down, Sally, and rest here in my arms. Don't you think you want someone to talk to?
All right, guys, we're going live. Let me make sure if I got my camera turning right. I'm all just discombobulated here. Let's move it around just a little bit right there. See how that does. Looks like the lighting's good. Looks like the audio is good. And what's going on, everybody? It is hot. It is very, very, very hot. Give me just 1 second. Let me mute this. Give me 15 seconds. I'll be All right, guys, sorry about that little interruption, but it is hot here. Very, very hot. Too hot to be outside testing metal detectors. You know, going diving Monday and going to do some detecting in the water where, you know, it's bearable. Let me back up here and give some shout outs. How many people we got in here with us? 23. What's going on, sharpshooter? Yeah, it's hot here. Humidity is off the chain here. Let me just kind of point this light down a little bit, get it out of my face, and we'll get on with the live stream. Got some things to talk about. We're going to talk about version 3.04 today. We're going to talk about some pros and some cons of it, and deep dive into the Deus 2, these new versions, the HF2 coil. We would talk about some other detectors too, whatever you guys want to talk about. But really want to hit on this version just for a few minutes and talk about all of that stuff. But let me give shout outs. What's going on, Lance? What's going on, Trevor? Pull Tab Pro, Tex, what's up? Dan, what's going on from South Alabama? Carrie, what's going on, Tex? Just got the elliptical. Good deal, good deal. Stephen pushing 100 down here in South Georgia. Ew. XP must have hired one of Garrett's engineers. Easy now, Fly Rock. Easy now. PA Digger 62. What's going on? HF Wednesday. Cool deal. His cat melted. I am ready to get in the water, Blackwater Master. We went diving the other day, and Flagman had his tank tanked up on the boat. We were going for the second tank. The river looked good. Conditions were great. He had found 6 flat buttons in one hole. And I heard his little O-ring on his tank went out. And guess what me and him didn't have between us? An O-ring to go on his style tank. I use a Den style, and he uses the valve style that screws on, and it has that little O-ring that keeps the air in. That little 25-cent O-ring ended our dive day. Hey, that's cool, Stephen. You can hang out. We got Deus 3.4. Yeah. These people will be the news of the new flagship detector mine lab coming out on the 4th of July. Yeah. Well, we'll have to see that to believe it, you kind of. But hey, Gator, no, it wasn't a Gator. It was a little 25-cent O-ring that just killed the whole dive day, Tex. I mean, it wiped us out. And, you know, here we were having to truck. What's going on, Marco? We were having to truck to get back home, but it just reminded me, I'd cleaned out my dive gear, and I took out my little container with my O-rings in it, and I didn't put them back in my bag. And he had gotten some gear stolen out of the boat when we were on a dive trip, and they had gotten the box that he had all his O-rings in, and it ended our dive trip. So lesson learned, rookie mistake, you know, drive down the toilet. But he did get 6 buttons, so we know where to go back to and start looking. But I want to dive into this Deus 2 3.0 forward, just a few minutes, and talk about it. And I'll give you guys a live demo. Actually, I'll do that first. Let me get my cell phone. I'm not going outside, man. It is just too hot. Let's see if I can get, let me go over here to a new scene. You guys bear with me. Or let me just click down here and see if this one will do it. I don't know if it will. Let me see if my FaceTime HD camera. Let me see if it'll hook to my camera. Come on, man. Are you kidding me? It's not going to hook to my iPhone. Are you kidding me? Uh-oh, what happened there? So, give me just a second. GoPro. You guys, give me just a second. Let me see. There we go. All right. Let's go over here and look at something. Let me see if I can see. Yeah, you guys can see. Part of my messy house. There's my messy dog who's got my whole office just in disarray. But you guys see this? You see, let me make sure that, I don't know what I got going on here with the camera. I don't know if it needs to be that way. Yeah, maybe so. We got a nickel, a quarter. And what's going on with version 3.04 is it's got a problem with the silencer setting. I'll see if I can show you guys this live real quick. And we'll get on with it, but I'll show you what it does. So, let me get everything fired up. Okay, let me give it just a minute to initialize. Okay, let's make sure that the volume is cut up. There we go. So what's happening, look at the ID, 6497. Watch, stop. Watch this. You see that? The nickel ID is locking up the machine. So coming across the low conductor first and coming across the quarter, it hangs the ID up and it won't reset. Now, Slash is probably going to interrupt us here, but if we come back, quarter, nickel, high conductor first. Stop, Slash. Stop. If we come back across quarter, nickel first, it works correctly. But let me get back over here and get back on the live, and that I'll explain some things about that. Guys, give me just a second. Let me get back up here to my, there we go. So yes, Sharpshooter did find the same bug in 3.03. Kevin from NC found the same bug in 3.01, so it's been there the whole time as far as we can tell. And it's not IDing correctly coming off a low conductor to a quarter. Now, if you change the silencer down in the negative range, then it will work. It will go nickel, quarter. Sharpshooter found something, though, today with aluminum foil and a nickel. If you, on it, it's just the opposite. The lower conductor aluminum foil, you have to go nickel, aluminum foil. The nickel ID will lock up the foil, so when you come across the nickel, it'll call the foil nickel. But if you come across the foil, it'll ID the foil, and then it'll ID the coin. So we were thinking that it was just like a TDI time thing on the VDI, not switching out, but it's working off conductivity of targets. Now, when you go down into the negative range of the silencer, then the VDI starts acting properly. You come across the nickel, quarter, nickel, it doesn't matter, the IDs pop in the window. But you know, we don't know. We've just been looking at 3.04, and that's something that's gotten by, and we don't know if it's tied to the new silencer setting. We don't know what it's tied to, and it's problematic for people coin hunting, you know, and using the ID. It should just not, it should be functioning properly, and that's just not functioning properly. I mean, it is what it is, you know, and I keep getting these people coming in, and this guy come in and posted this right here, and I want to see if you guys agree with this, because I'm going to gripe about XP. You guys know that I love that company. It's my favorite detector. You guys know that I think that's probably the best, or if not the second best. The Manicore and that are the two best detectors in the world. But this whole rollout, this beta, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And but this guy, you know, basically comes into my comment sections. It says beta is beta, no reason to complain, because I did a video complaining about it. I said, speak for yourself, man. Oh, you know, read up on what the beta phase means when creating software firmware. That's common knowledge, not more. I said, like I said, but I told him he's welcome to join us and defend his point of view. But I get these types of comments sometimes, and it's almost like some people's mentality is let's just let the manufacturers, you know, give us what they want, you know, and basically, you know, and I'm not just talking about XP. I'm talking about, look at the Vortex release. Look at the Legend release. We've seen it have a transformation through beta versions, and we've seen that it was short on one key set and iron bias when it come out that really affected its performance. We've seen that it, you know, just what I'm getting at, and I'm just going to be point blank. I don't want the industry, and I do not like what has happened with this HF2 coil in this beta version release. And I love XP. And maybe I'll never get anything again sent to me from them for being vocal about this. I don't know how they'll react to it. But they're a top-notch company, but I feel like this is a fail. This whole deal, in my opinion, is a fail. You take pre-orders for a coil that's not even backed up by a firmware when it comes out. And I thought, and me and Sharpshooter both discussed this, thought that when this coil got shipped to us from France in the beta version, it was just a matter of wrapping it up and firming it up and it would be ready for prime time. Well, that has turned out not to be the case, and what, we're a month into it now. So how long is this whole beta getting to a complete firmware going to, you know, take? And another danger of some of this stuff about, and I'm not saying this about XP, but just a danger to be aware of, is that firmware doesn't fix everything. We see a Vortex sitting right back over there, and it's still not fixed, and it was released when? Yeah, exactly. So that's a problem. And that's something to, what's going on, John? It's something to think about. No more updates like this one, please. Well, we're gonna dive into it. What's going on, Blinky? It's true that it is in 3.03, very first beta update, and I'm not having any problems with a 9-inch round coil. Did you try the test, Lance, that I just showed? You may have that problem in it and not even know it. Go across the low conductive nickel first, come across the quarter, and see what happens, because Kevin's reporting that he has it in 3.01. Turn the XP into a Vortex. I hope not. It's happening on all coils, Brian. So but the way to get around it is to run a negative silencer. But here's the problem with that. If you're hunting heavy iron, I don't want to run a negative silencer. I hunted with it. I can do it, but I don't feel like getting beat to death with the negative silencer setting in the heavy iron patch. And that's exactly what happened to me. I mean, I done it for probably 3 or 4 hours up there on a Colonial site, and I'm like, I just don't want to run this machine in a negative silencer range. Is it true that you could possibly find a target that silencer 2 may not find in a super mat. It's possible, but you're paying the price. And I felt like the iron that I was chasing, the falsing iron that I was chasing, it probably worked out better just using the silencer 2. And if you raise the disc in negative silencer, it takes away the unmasking, and you're better off running a silencer 2 disc 6.4, 6.8. It unmasks better. Let's look at what Sharpshooter says here. The mono program, yes, this is another problem. The mono program 3.04 bug no TID with Ferris TDI off is new. 3.03 doesn't do works right. This seems is only self-inflicted 3.04. So what happens is I guess I could show you guys this real quick on the live since we're here. But what he's talking about in 3.04, let me pull this up, guys, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Let me get a coin. Watch yourself, Slash. Let me just see if I can do it with this camera right here. Yeah, let me let all this get fired up, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But you go into the machine. Okay, so I got a wireless mic on, so it's affecting it. Maybe it'll pair. There it goes. Okay, so it paired. Okay, make sure it paired up. Yep, everything's paired. So you go to mono. Can you guys see this? I don't know if it's gonna. I'll show you guys, but I'm just gonna go to mono program. Okay, so we're in mono. I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut the TID setting. I'll show it to you guys. It's off. Did you guys see that? It's off. But watch what happens with it being off. See this quarter? Let me make sure that it's focused. You get no ID. You go back. You cut it on. See the ID come in the window? So that's a new bug. So Sharpshooter's saying that is inflicted on version 3.4. Well, let me show you another one and see if you guys can hear it. Let me cut it back on while we got it here. And what I found was a bug early on. And the first one was a volume thing going between PWM square. Let's see if we can hear it here. I don't know if we can, but let's go here to, let's go to audio. We're in PWM, listen. Going to square. Hear how much louder that machine got? Going from square to high square. But in the headphones, you can hear it plain as day that it's back, and the audio is louder in square than it is in high square and PWM with the same settings. It's actually very dramatic with your headphones on. You guys can check that yourself. But they had remedied that in previous update in 3.03. So let's see what else we got right here. But so Sharpshooter's saying that new thing with the mono is not in 3.03. That is a new thing with 3. If they return my money, I will help them to tune the machine for HF. Was not beta, I think. Well, you know, like I said, I love XP. But I'm at a disagreement in my mind with what they've done here with this beta release. And I don't want the market to go this way where we've seen it with the Vortex. Look at the Vortex. I mean, before it was even released, and then when we got it, I got the Vortex, and it had so many problems that Steve Moore from Garrett had to get on the other channel over there on a live stream with his calabash list that I pointed out. And look how long that has been in knocking that list out. So you pay full price for a metal detector. You expect, I get a bug here and there. And the Deus 2 release was great. 1.01 was a little, that was a little bit messed up on that release of that version, but that got remedied very quick. But here you are paying $400 for a coil that's running beta software that's got glitchy bugs, like when the TID is off, it don't ID, or it's something's going on with the ID with the silencer settings 0 and above. And you know, it comes a point where you go, okay, guys, you know, this needs to get remedied, and it needs to get remedied pretty quick. There's something else not being talked about, because I think the majority of us are not gold prospectors. And that is that, according to what I've seen from Carson, Chris, and Relics and Rings, it's short on gold nuggets versus the Manticore. So maybe that's something that's going to have to be updated and worked on. What's going on, Sod Father? Yeah, Blinky 44, 13 likes. Yeah, y'all hit the like button. The first alpha and beta version should never be released to the public. They are testing versions of software, or at least are in a computer and a phone software. You know, I almost feel like, and I'm not just speaking, I'm speaking with other manufacturers. It's almost like it's becoming a safety net, saying, well, this version is beta. Well, I'm at the point where I'm getting tired of hearing that. I don't want to hear that. But I received the coils that I have, they sent them to me. I didn't spend my money, but in my mind, I've spent my time testing it. So I've paid in videoing and talking about it. And I paid for those coils with my time, very much, way more than what the coils are actually worth. My time is worth way more than you know, that in a monetary sense. But the point is I try to think, I was thinking about it today. I'm like, Calabash, you know, I had to calm myself down. Calabash, are you overreacting? And I had to think about, if I was a paying customer that actually saved my money and spent my money, you know, not just my time, but my money on this coil, and then it come to me in this shape, and I had waited on a waiting list, how would I feel? And I thought about it a minute, and this is how I would feel. I wouldn't like it one bit. I don't even like it, and they sent me the coils, much less if I had went through that scenario. And I'm like looking at this, and I'm like going, okay, XP, I love this company. They have revolutionized the industry, cutting edge. Look at the Deus 2, cutting edge detector, burning a pouch, diving metal detector, the most versatile metal detector in the world. And to see this coil come out in like this is just a negative to me, and I just think that it should have been different. I think that the Vortex should have come out more in the shape that it's in now. I think the Legend was a mistake on Nocta's part. It seemed like they learned a little bit from that with their later triple releases and all. I love Deus. I love XP, Brian, but I was also thinking about this, and I was like, thought to self, Calabash, is it fair to criticize Garrett, Nocta, and MindLab and give XP a free pass when you totally disagree with what they have done? And I had to, you know, take my human emotion, because I have a relationship with that company, and I can ask them private stuff. They tell me, and I had to take my human feelings out of the equation and say, no, it's not fair. If that was Garrett doing that, Nocta doing that, or MindLab doing that, what would I do? I'd have a video just like I posted today with skull and crossbones and bugs all over, and it's a disaster, train wreck. We've seen those videos on every detector that's had problems that I've done, and you know, that's had problems in the past that I've made videos on, that's had big problems. And it's not fair to treat the other manufacturers like that, so there you go. I just, you know, let's see what we got here. I'm doing it right now. I can't make it happen with the 9-inch round coil, but I am on the very first beta version. Maybe I should try mono and see if it does debug. What's the number on that beta version? Is that 7.1 or something you got, or you know? Well, you know, I found that quite funny, John, that XP, as far as I know, only involved Paystreak. And Paystreak is a nice guy. I talked to him on the phone, nice guy, but his digging style is just not realistic for 99.9% of the community. Well, maybe that's too much. a high percentage of the community. I mean, he digs aluminum foil. He digs everything out of yards and parks. And, dude, that's not metal detecting to me. That's excavating, and that's more like work, and I don't care to do that. I'll do it on a relic site, but I just don't care to do that. I would much rather use my time in a more efficient manner than, if you dig a dump truck load of garbage around a town, you're going to eventually find a gold ring. I mean, but what about ID? Well, he doesn't show us any of that. And how could he know about the ID problem? He don't even use that. So, the only somewhat comforting thing is if all these issues are happening on all coils, it sounds like it's definitely a solid. Yeah, should be fixable. Well, OCB, that's another thing that we're sitting here saying that all of these things are fixable with software. Well, that may not be true. I mean, I'm not saying that about the HF2 coil, but I'm just cautioning everybody out there that there may be stuff that gets in hardware that's not fixable with software. Look at the Vortex over there. It's still got that laggy audio thing switching targets. It doesn't lock up like it did, but it's not out of it. So what is that? Well, I don't know. What's going on, buddy? And, the HF coil has some, did they improve it with 3.04? Yeah. The VDI has been improved. Is it where I want it to be? No, but it's improved. And in 29 kilohertz, it's doable. But in 53 and 89, yeah, it's not quite there yet. And one of the weird things is like if you're here with the coil, it gives you ID. You start that moving up like the Vortex did, and the ID starts changing. And it starts going down on the coil in the higher frequencies. It does not do that in 29 kilohertz. You're right here, it's a 90, whatever it is. You're right here, it's a 90, something at 5 inches. The higher frequencies, when you come up here, there's a 3 to 4 point spread sometimes. At that much on an air test. And I'm like, well, what is that about? So maybe that's something else that they, need to look into. Yeah, I hadn't seen any videos from him. Money needs to be created. Buy beta detectors with beta money. Yeah, I mean, that's really what I'm saying, Sharpshooter. Look, we know that the Deus 2 is a top performer in the world. It and the Manicore are the two top performers in the world. The M8 coil has advantages over the HF2 coil. The HF2 coil has advantages over the M8 coil. And we'll talk about that real quick. EMI, the white coil, is the best I've ever seen. It has an iron unmasking advantage over the M8 coil. The M8 coil has an ID advantage and a gold nugget advantage over the white coil. Depth on land, well, it looks to me like in certain soils, the M8 coil beats the white coil on raw depth. On the beach, they're really close as far as depth on a gold ring. You have a slight advantage on a gold balled up chain with the HF2 coil. And that is another thing that I expected with these higher frequencies, the way that it was marketed in these higher frequencies. I thought that it would just kill the M8 or, just in all aspects be as good or better than the M8 coil. And that doesn't seem to be the case. It has its pros and it has its cons versus the M8 coil. And that was kind of shocking to me a little bit. I had to try to get my mind wrapped around how 40 kilohertz single frequency detectors keeping up with 120 kilohertz on a gold nugget. I don't quite understand that quite yet. But what's going on, Metal Detecting Northwest Wisconsin? It cost me a coil at my What are you talking about here? Cost you a coil in your WSA XLs. What happened there? Yeah, what happened there? I know that you told me you were bricked on one of them. So what did it do to your coil? That's weird. Coil just disappeared while detecting and won't connect anymore. Dwayne, let me tell you something. I had to send some gear in. Well, I sent my Manicore control head in too, that the screen went out. But I had some remotes and some coils that I had killed diving over the last 3 years. And I sent them in. And Carolina Digger had a remote that I gave him that he sent in, and it was a battery. So it may just be a battery. So that remote, I think that I gave Carolina Digger was the first remote that XP sent me, and I pulled some hours on my dive unit with that. The guy at the repair center said, I don't know. He told Carolina Digger, he said, I don't know where you've been hunting, but I've never seen that much stuff in the speaker. There was iron particles in the speaker, and the speaker had quit working long ago. But I left it configured on my dive shaft, and man, and I don't know. I know last time I stopped counting, I had like 500 hours underwater, and that was a long time ago. So maybe all last year, I don't know, maybe close to 1,000 hours underwater with that unit. But I thought the unit flooded because it did exactly what it just cut off. I tried to cut it on one day and it would not work. And it turned out that it was just a battery. I thought it flooded or something, but it wasn't. It was just a battery. So the battery didn't last the 5 years on a highly used unit going through all those charge cycles. And I'm wondering, I sent in, I had 2 9-inch coils that I sent in that were dead, and I'm wondering if they were flooded or if it was battery issue with that. So a groundskeeper, he's doing his part to keep the environment clean during the update in our bricked. Ew, that's not good. And I worked hard at odd jobs to buy this coil, and I love it, but I want them to fix it so I'm confident that I haven't swung over target and missed it. Good, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. You know, in XP being XP, will they fix it? More than likely. But that's not the point. The point is you shouldn't have spent your money and have to feel like that. That's my thought of the day on this whole subject. Look, do you guys get like I do? I'm waiting on the FedEx truck, DHL truck, UPS truck, and I'm waiting on that gear to get here, and I am fired up about it. You know what I mean? And then when it gets here, I don't want to have to go through all this emotional ups and downs. Oh, my gear's not functioning properly, or my metal detector's not doing this, and it needs an update. Update, if we're not careful in the metal detecting industry, in the metal detecting world, is going to become a cuss word. Somebody's going to say update, and you're going to be like, quit cussing. That's an awful word. We don't want to hear it because of what's going on and how loosely this term is being used and what we're seeing as updates on some of this stuff. Look at some of the Garrett updates that we've had. I mean, it's just, oh, it's updatable. And then you got this crowd or subset in our community. It's updatable. They'll fix it. Like, well, I don't want to pay for a detector and it's fixed 6 months later. I want it to work now. I'm just like that. I'm a now guy. I want it now. I don't want to wait. You know what I mean? So anyway, we'll move right here. Yeah, not going to park to dig trash all day. Got to have a reliable VDI for reference. Anyway, yeah. The other detector's VDI, the Manicore's VDI works, so this one needs to work. It's just a mute point. And we had Jethro on Facebook. I was scanning through there, and he was talking about the influencers using pitch tones, and you just need to use full tones. And I'm just like, I was reading that, and I'm like, dude, we don't all live in Scotland or Ireland or the UK where you're digging every little Roman bit like that and ID really means nothing. Some people dig in areas where they have to use an ID. They're digging in manicured yards and $1 million homes and, you know, historical homes or parks and that stuff, you know, do you miss that? Yes, we all know that. But that's not the point. That's just the way that you have to dig those areas. And then the ID becomes very, very important part of your arsenal, you know, that day. Yeah, he doesn't look at it. See how XP reply. If not, I will ask for a refund. They should get it done. I would hope that it would be done sooner. I think we waited 3 weeks to a month on this update. But I made them the HF2 VDI are nuts, but I can't get it to. I can get it to slap a gold chain. Yeah. It will hit a gold chain. It will. I'm good. When it comes to gold, mine I have in the bag. I don't know on the beach, Jason, and I don't know about diving in that salt water. I'm wondering if that HF2 coil has that Manicore in that aspect. So, you know, in the water. So that's something something too that, light's still flashing on the coil, so it's not a battery. I got you. But that's something to keep in mind, Jason. Does the Deus 2 outperform it in the salt water? course, to save the reputation with money to buy W6 phones and a new shaft, and I have a detector to my son. Okay, I finally got it to do it over, but I had to swing it over the nickel about 9 times before it locked on the nickel VDI. When I swung over it, then passed over the dime. So it did finally lock up. Okay. And then we were using quarters too, so I don't know if the dime has anything to do with it or not. 2 hours from home next Friday. Do you think I should go back to version 2? If you're not going to use the HF2 coil or the negative silencer, it won't hurt. I found stuff with version 3.0. I actually had 3.02 in my dive unit, and then after that VDI thing come up today, and I'm really not that negative silencer. I'm just like kind of like, you know, I feel like and believe that negative silencer was added to compete on nail test and stuff, like with the negative setting on the Elite, the triple score, and opening it up. Just because you can make something pass a nail test doesn't mean that you can use it in the field. And another thing with that, then I'm trying to rethink my nail testing scenarios, because the manufacturers are wise to that game. They know that people are watching our channels, and, you know, what can we do to make our detector pass that nail test? Well, we need to get away from that to a degree and start looking at ways to break it up some, to where you can't just open the machine up to the point where it won't faults on one nail, but you go out nails in the ground and it just goes berserk. I did change, Dwayne, I changed my dive settings back to 2.00 out of the beta version. So, you know, I'm going to roll with it for a while and see what happens with this ID. You know, their own platform for HF coil, just like when you pair the Extreme Hunter, you get a different, yeah, you know, and then the question becomes, how much can this remote handle? This is what I was thinking too. I'm sure in their engineering, this is a marvel in metal detectors as far as engineering goes, but how much can it actually handle? You do got an Extreme Hunter in there. Now you got another coil. So it's just a question. 3.0 had short pieces of fence wire with a solid 82 VDI in every direction. Wire seems to fool all machines. Yeah. The HF or gold on the beach. I hope it works, or I can get it to work in the water. I've seen a few people using it, Jason, in the water. So actually in the salt water, out in the water. So I have not done that yet. And another thing to think about, let's talk about this coil for a second and diving. And me and West Coast Detect, he's not in here tonight. I probably should have texted him and told him we were going live. But I want to get my dive shaft, and I want to talk about this just for a minute. So you guys bear with me. And one of the things about this machine, if you guys remember, I told you that I didn't want to be breaking it down. You see how I got everything wired up on my machine? And I didn't want to be breaking it down to have to take out the coil to charge it, but West Coast Tech brought up a point. You see how this shaft runs all the way through here? Well, if you were to put this shaft on here, where would you connect the remote to? Because you got a battery right in the end of this shaft. So how do you dive with this unit? Do you have to use the full shaft version and collapse it? Well, that's the only way to do it, because you have no place. See right here, you have no way of mounting the remote control because the battery is in the end of the shaft. Look here. So this shaft holds the remote control. See the screws in it right there? That's right in the end of this first shaft. So that's, you know, I'm thinking, well, you know, and that was problematic. You guys remember the problem with using well, maybe you don't, because most people don't dive, but the problem is when you take this shaft and you stick this in here and you try to collapse it and make a dive shaft out of it, what I was experiencing early on is when you're underwater and you're bumping it like this, it's picking up this aluminum shaft right here. So you're getting all kind of interference. And of course you got your cable that you got to put on it to have your antenna to run. Then when you get done diving, you got to take it out and charge it. Well, with that black 9-inch coil is not coming off my dive shaft for me to go diving with this coil. Because those, not saying that I couldn't take the white coil into a spot and maybe find a target or two that I missed with the black coil, but diving is a very hard gig. It's harder than land hunting. It's more technical, and it's just not, in my mind, worth the trouble to try to do all that just to use the white coil underwater. So that's something that I didn't think about, is where that remote connected to that dive shaft. West Coast Tech brought that up. Pay for my HF2, but haven't received it yet. That might be a blessing in disguise. I'm not updating until XP pulls the beta tag. I understand that. I just went back to 2.0 till my coil comes. Should be here soon, then I will go back. Hopefully they get it. It's that negative silencer business, and I don't really know how I feel about that. How many of you guys have been running zero silencer the whole time? Not just in a standard program, not something that's got the first tone bend and all that, but just like with a 6.8 disc or 6.4. So I set up 2 identical programs with tweaks for HF2, and then all I have to do is change the programs and mount the other coil and power the coil. That's good. That's very smart. I made a custom shaft using a Nocta carbon upper shaft to cut down shorter. Cool deal. I'm not going to go through all that trouble. Diving, man, to me is so intensive, like traveling and diving. I mean, this is just, I've showed this before, but I'll show it again real quick here. That's just part of the crap that I got to take. I got to charge lights at night, charge my scooter. I have 2 sets of lights, all these batteries, charge the detector, and that's after a 10 or 12 hour day trip, because we usually ride hours and hours. And, it normally a dive day is about 10 hours on the water for us sometimes. It's just according to where we're at, and I just don't want the headache of having to do anything extra. If, I kind of wish the coil charged, like the old ones do. It's cool how you slide the little thing on and charge it, but I kind of wish it was like the old one. But you guys, let's talk about the pros of this coil. Since I've been on the gripe session about it, it's got, they've improved the VDI. That EMI handling capabilities, the coil's worth owning just because of that. With 90% of the time I'm in fast program with silencer zero. I've moved up from that a little bit. I'm getting older, Dwayne, and about a silencer 2 is good for me. If I'm trying to open up or go to a site that I've hammered, just like I did with the HF2 coil, I dropped that sucker in -3 in a 6.8 disc, and I hunted with it. It was rough. I chased some iron, but I've hunted a silencer zero. I've hunted a silencer zero underwater, but I'm just getting underwater. A lot of times I'm removing the iron. It's according where I'm at. So, in doing that, it really doesn't matter. You know what I mean? About having the most extreme unmasking, because if you're moving the iron out of the way anyway, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, guys, I just wanted to get on here and talk about that. I know that they had some kind of thing in the western part of the United States today, some kind of metal detector rally. But we'll see. Kind of happy my coil has not shown. No, it's not all bad for the American Spirit. It's not all bad. It just I don't know. I just don't like this beta version. Look, you can go out and you can find stuff with it. You can hunt with it. But I don't like the idea about this whole ID business coming across a low conductor and the ID hanging up either. That kind of but if I'm digging relics, it probably doesn't matter, but it'll hang up on a nail too. So like you could get fooled like that if you come across a piece of iron and then you hit another target and that ID stay like that. You could think it's something false. And so, but I'm sure they'll get that remedied and worked out. If that you want to hunt. Let's see here. So it's kind of crazy from what I understand is that if you want to hunt confident with the black coils, you have to revert to 2.0, which well, John, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to say about it. If you can't tell, I'm not, just all that happy about it myself, What do you think about it, Slash? You think that these manufacturers should quit releasing beta detectors to the public without having it tested by all the testers? Yeah, I think so too. I don't think they should be doing that. You guys see him, boy, he's like, who is he talking to? You know? Oh, you guys want to see how big he's gotten? Hold on a minute, I'll show him to you. He's growing like a weed. Where you at, Slash? Come here, come here, come here. Sit down. Hey, set it down. Touch. Look at me. Focus. Good boy. Focus. Focus. Speak. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Tell him you're a smart puppy. Give me your paw. Good boy. Good boy. Daddy will get off here and take you outside in a minute. All right, guys. Let me get back over here just for a couple of minutes and let's see what we got here. It's just software. Like I said, it was okay with Young Bucks doing the testing. Done that for decades. Yeah. I did get 7 non-ferrous targets in 2 hours in a heavy iron sight. I pounded for. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely just a shake. Slash, stop. Teeth off. He's a puppy. He wants to chew on me sometimes, and I'm not going to allow him to do that. He's getting so big, man. He's probably over 70 pounds now. We will. I'll take you outside in just a minute. But guys, I'm gonna. That was with the HF2. Yeah. There's potential with it right there, and that higher frequencies. And you know, sharpshooters. I've seen it versus the M8 coil. It definitely has an unmasking advantage in iron over the M8 coil on the Manicore. Maybe certain scenarios over the 9. Put out beta and they get testing, debugging for free. And many mines are. I don't think it's for free. I have a theory on that, Free Americans. I don't think it's for free. I think it's a turnoff to people. And I think that, hey, whoa, get down. I think that it's a turnoff to people. It is to me, to some people. And I think that in the end, it could possibly wind up costing you. You know, if another manufacturer like MineLab releases another high-end detector here in the next near future, and you don't have to go through all of that, and it comes out of the box performing really, really well, I mean, it could have a negative effect, is all I'm saying. Will it? Well, if all manufacturers do it, then we'll just kind of be stuck with it, griping and crying, you know, about it. But it could have a negative effect. It could have a negative effect on sales. Slash needs his own channel. Yeah. I agree. But, guys, I've been on here about 47 minutes. I got some things I got to do. And, you know, I can't think of, you know, it's a lot of times I get to these lives, and sometimes I'll rewatch them. And I'll try to think about things that I've missed, but I can't really think about or think of anything that I missed. If you guys have got anything y'all has tarnished their reputation, you know, John, I hate to say it, but I agree with you. Is it not repairable? No, it's not, but it's kind of a feather in my hat. You know, I don't know if that's the right terminology. It's a negative. It's a negative. And I had nothing bad to say about them or negative to say about them until this coil. I have said, and they have revolutionized the industry. We have wireless headphones on every detector now almost. You know, the things that they've done, updatable detectors, the things that they have brought to the industry, and then to release a product in a beta configuration that I thought was like ready for the show, you know what I mean? And Sharpshooter found that discrimination thing on it. They did fix that in this update, but I agree. It's a negative, and I think that if this continues, it could have and this is with all companies, it can have a negative effect. It just gives a bad look. You know, you spend your money. You know, that would be like me buying this camera. This is a very, very, very expensive, or expensive to me. This camera, when it come out new, was over, just the body was over $6,000. That ain't counting this $1,500 lens set, and this is a cheaper lens. I've got better lenses over here that are called prime lenses, but this one's a focus, a zoom lens, and you know, it's got good functionality. But the point being is if I paid all this money for this camera and then I turn it on, oh, well, it works. It don't work in this configuration. It works in this setting. It works like this, and oh, well, we need to wait on Sony you need to test it and report back to Sony after you gave them your hard-earned $6,000 for. I didn't pay that for that camera, of course, but I did pay about $4,000 for it. Very, very expensive camera, high tech. Well, I didn't have to take it out of the box and start trying to figure out what was wrong with it. I took it out of the box and I started using it. And I don't want to do that with every metal detector that comes out. Yes, every metal detector that comes out, we should run it through basic testing procedures because things can get by. But we don't want manufacturers to start willingly sending us out like prototype beta versions. You know what I mean? Look at the Vortex. How far, in my opinion, that was a prototype. In my opinion, that was a prototype setup when they released it. Oh, you can update it, and you can hear all the Garrett fanboys. You could update it. You could update it. And then we look at the software on this HF2 coil, and it's very like early stylish software. You know, it's not far. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Anyway, first, doesn't matter if you're paying $100 or $1,000 for something, you expect it to work as good as the money you spend. Yeah, that's my thing with this. And like I said, XP is a revolutionary company. They have brought so much to the metal detecting industry, and I don't know why this decision was made for this coil to do like this. I don't understand who made that decision or why, but it is what it is. And maybe in a month we can get on here and talk about how XP fixed it, and it's now one of the baddest coils on the planet, on one of the baddest metal detectors ever made. And, you know, we'll be able to sing the praises of it then. But as of right now, I'm just kind of emotionally bent on it. Like, you know what? It can just sit over there in the corner, and I really don't care. That's kind of how I feel about it. Because it's been like this roller coaster ride of this. And I'll share this with you guys. It wasn't sent to me to test. It wasn't sent to Iffy to test. It was sent to Paystreak. And I'm just like trying to figure out, well, who made that decision? He only does one aspect, and he lives in one part of the country. He only does one aspect of the hobby. And now, if it had come out and Paystreak tested and it had been perfect, I'd have been like, good job. But that's not how it's all worked out. So very early on, when I got mine, I'm like, well, what's going on here? Why was that done, you know? And I don't know, man. I just feel like, why wasn't it sent to Relics and Rings to test on gold nuggets? That is what he does. He is a YouTube influencer too. So, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know, Stephen. Yeah, you expect that, but that's where I'm at. I love XP. Got XP Deus 2 is the best, or if not the second best metal detector ever made. They're neck and neck with the Manicore. I got so mad about the Legend that I never going to own another pro. Yeah. And I got a feeling I would be paying attention to Nocta in the next few months. I would just be paying attention to Nocta. They were in the United States today. And yeah, I would be paying attention to them. But you're never going to look at one of their products because of the Legend. You got so mad about it. Well, that Marco, we could talk about that right there. There's a video by, I believe it's Rob. I think he used to be or is in with XP or was in with XP. And he talked about that in his video about it being a niche coil, but they are selling it. What does it say? It not only finds gold, but it, you know, and it is kind of being, or I looked at it as a coil. No, you cannot run the HF2 coil with 2.0 version. It has to be the 3s. An all-around coil. You know, is it the best all-around coil to do cherry-picking coin shooting? Nah. I think that the ID on the 9-inch coil would be a lot better for cherry-picking coins. So, no. What's going on, Mikey? But, yeah, that could be, you know, if it's a niche coil, it's a niche coil. But I kind of feel like it's being marketed as an all-around coil, too. Relics, Saltwater Beach, yeah. Gold prospecting, yeah. But I don't know, man. I'm just going to let it ride out. We'll see how it all plays out. We'll come back on here and we'll talk about it. And, you know, when we get another beta, you know, it puts me in a bad position, really. Because here's what's happening. It's just like with the Vortex. I come out with the Vortex, and then, you know, people that don't know me and know the deal that we have here, when they were looking at me with the Vortex, they just thought I was an a-hole. You know what I mean? All the Garrett fan people's like, oh, he's just a YouTuber trying to get views and just bashing his detector. But they don't realize that I've been doing this for years and talking about the pros and the cons of detectors. And it kind of puts me in a very bad position sometimes. I mean, the Vortex was so bad that, I mean, I didn't really have much good to say about it, except it was stable on the Salt Beach. EMI handling was pretty good. But, you know, it's kind of like there was this white coil. Here is my fan base, I guess is what you're saying, or my follower base, is a lot of XP users. And you guys that follow me know that I love that company. But then here I am, I'm speaking negative publicly about this. And some people are like already on the Defender train against me on the Facebook page, you know, over there on the XP group. You know what I mean? Like I'm just trashing XP for no reason. That's not true. You guys know that. Just like the Manicore when I got it and it had the iron faulting problem. The Legend when I went out and went head to head with Nocta on that. So it puts me in a bad position sometimes because it's like I'm the bad guy. You know what I mean? I'm Calabash, and then some people think Calabash means that my name is named after like bashing or something. You know what I mean? And it's not. You guys that follow know it's just the facts, but it's a tough situation to be in sometimes, having to bring the bad news. You know what I mean? If we were like the other channels and all detectors were good, they're all game changers. This is going to change the industry. This thing is a game changer. Look at here. I found a button in a field where we found 1,000 buttons. You know, and that proves absolutely jack nothing. You know, and I don't know. That's just me being real with you guys. It's not always fun on this side of the camera either, being the bad guy. Just like that thing with XP, that company I have a relationship with, and here I am speaking out publicly negative about the way they're doing things. Yeah, not always easy being the Calabash. Yeah, my buddy just bought it. Let's see right here. My buddy just bought a used Manicore with 3 extra coils and 2 headsets for $1,000. I was a bit, yeah, I would have bought that myself. That's a good deal, man. So we're not designed. Yeah, they'll get it fixed. I'm pretty sure they will. You know, let's see right here. I agree. Testers should have caught these glitches before it's outright release. I've always said that you plan for what you believe is ever possible contingency, and pow, you get blindsided. Yeah. Get it sorted out. It just sucks they're already selling it with those issues. Yeah, that's my whole point. That's my whole point about it right there. Just hoping are the tones any better by themselves? They talked about this high definition audio, and I might be tone deaf. I might be getting old and tone deaf. I just don't hear a whole lot of difference. I think Sharpshooter, he said he could hear a little bit maybe. You guys have to go over his channel and ask him about it. But, you know, so, I mean, I can't hear a big deal. It's not one of those things where without high definition audio, I cut it on and go, oh, wow, you know. I'm like, you see what I'm saying? Trying to listen to it. Thanks, Dan. I'm got to go. Some serious stuff happening. And okay, man. All right, we'll talk to you later on. I'll check it out. Isn't going to let them classify that as a niche coil. They wouldn't sell nearly. Hey, what? You know, it happens. Yeah, well, the honest guy sometimes is the bad guy, especially in this market, man. But hey, I've enjoyed hanging out with you guys. I'm going to get off of here. We're 30 seconds away from an hour, and I need to take my puppy out. Look at him. Look at him. What are you doing, boy? What are you doing, huh? Okay. I'm going to take him out and let him use the potty before it's bedtime. I enjoyed hanging out with you guys tonight. And I'll see you guys as soon as we find out something about this and I get back from my dive trip. Tell them bye, Slash. Look, come here. Come right here. Tell them bye. Come here. You guys see how big he is? Hold on a minute. I'm going to back up. Slash, touch. Come here. Touch. Here, jump. Well, not right there, man. Not right there. Right up here. Look at that. Look how big his head is. His head's bigger than mine, man. Check that out. He's turned into a big old dog. I don't know, Stephen. I don't know. We'll have to... you guys have a great night, and go over and cut that computer off so we can get off. All right, let's go outside. Let's go. All right, I'm going to take him outside. You guys have a good night. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me.